Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Tower. So for today's battle conditions, we are having Death Ray and Thorns resistance, Plasma Cannon resistance, Protector and Boss Ultimate. Okay, so it seems to me that today's main difficulty is killing the boss. With Boss Ultimate, they have a lot more health. On top of that, our Plasma Cannon is doing very little damage. And on top of that, our Thorns is doing very little damage. So the main difficulty would be reducing the boss's health as much as possible before the boss hits your tower. Because what's going to happen is if you don't reduce the boss's health sufficiently, then because of Thorn's resistance, the boss is going to take off 2 or potentially 3 charges of your energy shield at once. So I presume it's going to be... Well, damage is always the focus in Legends League, but it seems like for today's purposes, especially so, we are going to rely heavily on damage. The moment you can't kill the boss before it touches your tower, and if the boss still has quite a large amount of health, we are probably dead. Yeah. Okay, so here is what I did in preparation for the battle conditions. So I got Protector Radius and Boss Health up to level 9 now. So it's giving me a bit more breathing room in terms of how much health I have to dish out to the boss. Less Protector Radius is always a good thing because then less possibilities to take chip damage from, say, ranged enemies. I got my ultimate crit mastery to level 5, and Poison Swamp Radius is now at level 20. I would like to bring this up to 25. I think at level 20 it's still a bit too little range for the range that I'm running. And specifically talking about range, I got my range up to level 30, and I got a couple of levels into damage per meter just because these 2 labs were relatively fast. Okay, so just to check my labs, yeah, so I'm just going to be working towards goal boxing damage and crit factor. I've neglected these labs for quite a while now, and I guess I might as well just max out my shockwave size. At its current level, with the range that I'm running for my tournament setup, 146 meters, the shockwave seems to be just at my tower range line. So maybe it would be a good idea to get this maxed out, and then I can potentially increase my range even further, potentially get more into damage per meter, and maybe by then damage per meter would start showing a bit of benefits even before I reach Spotlight Plus level. Alright, so overall, just a quick progress update. These are my current stats. These are my previous tournaments, so I think I'm quite safe now in hovering between position 3 and position 4 for my tournaments. Thankfully I don't get this anymore. I mean, I say that, but when I look at my bracket analysis, it seems like I could potentially finish rank 9 in some of the brackets, but majority show that I should finish in rank 3 or 4. So I guess that's my average performance nowadays. In terms of cards, these are the cards that I'm running for the tournament. Nothing has changed. And in terms of my harmony tree, this is where I'm at. I got the first level of Workshop Respec. Hopefully by this week I should be able to get this, and maybe this, maybe. Let's see, I'm missing 25 plus 11, so 36 keys. No, I don't think I will be able to get this by this week, but maybe yeah, definitely by next week I will be able to get this. Then I can respec for tournaments and we can have a look at how much better the performance would be. So this is my Harmony Vault. Yeah, still pretty underdeveloped, but I got 1 point into the power tree just to get the boost to ultimate weapon damage. And right, so for today's set of playtesting, what I'm going to be doing is, well, I received a suggestion from Seven, and he mentioned that I should test out Astral Deliverance. So I went ahead and rolled my Astral Deliverance. It's still not perfect. In fact, I don't really know what stats to roll into this. I presume that since bounce shot deals more damage, then I should increase my bounce shot chance. So the way bounce shot chance works, at least the way I understand it, is if we have a look here, I've got a bounce shot chance of 80%. So if it hits one enemy, there's 80% chance it goes to the second enemy, and from the second enemy another 80% chance to hit the third enemy, and so on. So it's not so important to get the bounce shot targets up very high, but we should rather focus on the bounce shot chance, because suppose I did a shot that bounced 8 times. That is 0.8 raised to the power of 8, which, you know, it's quite a small percentage of shots that actually reach this maximum bounce shot targets. So rather than focusing on the maximum number of bounces, which I guess would increase my maximum damage, I rather focus on the consistency of damage by increasing the bounce shot chance. Ideally, I would like to roll for some critical chance over here. Under this Astral Deliverance, what I'm getting is 92% of crit, so not ideal. However, because it's boss day, no point using Galaxy Compressor. We go with Project Funding just for more damage. We go with the Trusty Dimension Core, and we go with Anti-Cube Portal. Okay, so for today's set of playtesting, previously I was always using, not this guy, the death penalty. Okay, as you can see, my death penalty is also not very good in terms of the stats that I've rolled on it. I'm just lacking in my reroll shots, but what I would like to test today is, in one round I will use death penalty, and in the second round I will use Astral Deliverance. So the idea with Astral Deliverance is that I should get a lot more projectile damage, and I've been testing this in my own farming runs. It's currently the case that at the end of each run, Astral Deliverance has brought my projectile damage to be more than my smart missile damage. And so that's a lot of damage to me. And I'm hoping that some of those bounces, you know, I could get lucky bounces to the boss, which helps to deal with boss damage, which provides more consistency than the death penalty. With death penalty, 15% of bosses are going to die on average before they come to my tower. So I guess there would be some form of variance in the playtesting results. But I am a strong believer that consistency is really important when it comes to damage. So I'm hoping that with the more consistent damage from Astral Deliverance, it would actually result in better tournament performance. But let's see how we go. So just some final checks before we actually start the tournament. Range is maxed out. My shockwave size is also maxed out, and cards are set at tournament cards. Okay, so first playtest would be with Astral Deliverance, and let's get into it. Okay, so as usual, at the start I would have to set my orbs. Since there's not much speed from enemies today, I think I would put my orbs just at my range line for the time being, especially since there is death ray resistance today, it would be good to help to deal with some of the ranged enemies. Until such time where I start having issues with the bosses, then I can start bringing the extra ops distance in to wherever they get hit with my energy net. Okay, in terms of the target priority, we really want range at the top, and then let's go boss, and then protector, and then closest. I think this would be good. Yeah, maybe elites then closest. I don't think it makes much of a difference. So the idea is I just want to kill the range as quickly as possible so they don't do chip damage to me. Then after that, I just want to focus on bosses, and if there are protectors, then we kill protectors. So just looking at the protector radius, my protector radius is now 9.85 meters. It's gotten slight reduction because of the lab that I invested in. Oh, right, I need to increase the game speed. So it was previously at speed 2 because I was just doing a check to see that my shockwave could actually reach my range line. I should also enable Poison Swarm stun. It would be pretty nice if my Poison Swarm, or if the boss gets stunned by my Poison Swarm and I set my range, my outline somewhere over here. Maybe that might be a good idea. We shall see how it goes. Okay, we are back, and it's almost wave 900. As you can see, I'm still not having much issue with the bosses just yet, and I just thought to myself that, you know, I can really see the value of having a permanent Poison Swarm, or even 2 permanent Poison Swarms for tournaments such as this. Suppose I got my radius up slightly further and my stun chance for Poison Swarm to be higher, then if I had 2 permanent swarms, basically what's going to happen is that with my Chronofield Plus, the boss is going to have a lot of opportunity to keep getting stunned by my Poison Swarms, which would dramatically increase the amount of time that I have to kill the boss. So definitely that is something that I should be working towards. I also like to address a question. I just saw this question by Carolee Polk's Tower, and the question reads, have you considered maximizing or maxing your inner landmine quantity? It will only cost about 400 stones and should increase ILM consistency drastically. Yes, so that is a very good question. And the short answer is yes, I would like to get more inner landmine quantity. I understand that getting the quantity to 6 is a very cheap investment, but the main issue that I'm having at the moment is that because I run with Intro Sprint Mastery, then every wave I basically get a boss, and at some point when I'm no longer able to kill the bosses, even suppose the boss got chain stunned by my inner landmines, I would still need to reduce the cooldown of my inner landmines. It's currently at 3 minutes and 20 seconds. I need to reduce this to about a minute or so in order for there to be a set of inner mines for every possible boss. Because the idea is that the moment I need to rely on my inner mines, it's probably, going to be the case that for subsequent bosses, I'm also no longer able to kill them. So I need the inner mines up by the time the next boss comes in. So even though the upfront cost of having, say, 6 mines is relatively cheap, unless I get the cooldowns to match it, it's probably not going to provide more than like 1 wave or 10 waves of value to me. In the meantime, I would very much rather get that second swamp up. I think that would be a better strategy for me. But that being said, in terms of my stones, what I would like to do moving forward is to just try to maybe get a mastery a week, and start taking off these masteries quickly, as quickly as I can, in order to I guess boost my tournament performance. I think masteries would still benefit me more greatly than just getting ultimate weapon investment at this stage. So what I would like to do now is to maybe reduce the op line slightly, just so that I can have a bit more time to hit the bosses with my ops. Okay, as we can see, the ops are currently doing about 24% of the boss's health. For some reason, Poison Swamp is doing more damage than Chain Lightning, but I have a very underdeveloped Swamp, so I'm not sure how that's actually happening. Maybe just due to a lucky ultimate weapon crit. Okay, and as we can see, I have finally procced my Berserker, so it's only a matter of time now before I'm no longer able to kill the bosses. And then Demon Mode procs, Nuke procs, and the round ends. It's wave 1360. First energy shield has popped. Second shield has popped. Clearly I'm not doing enough damage to the bosses now. There is always the choice of whether to cancel Intro Sprint Mastery, but based on at least the previous video that I made, I'm thinking that for me it's probably not worthwhile to cancel my energy shield. Cancel my Intro Sprint. As you can see, because of Thorn's resistance, the bosses are just taking more than 1 hit, which means that now Demon Mode has procced. 71 trillion damage. It doesn't do very much, as you can see from the boss's health. Even though I'm shooting at the boss, the projectiles are really just not dealing enough damage. I think at this stage, I just need to rely on ultimate weapon crits and potentially smart missile amplifying. I was told that Poison Swamp in the endgame is going to be extremely powerful. But maybe due to the underdevelopment of my Swamp currently, it's just not dealing very much. Maybe when I start getting Swamp Ren up and maybe Poison Swamp Plus, that's when I guess I will start seeing that its damage is probably replacing Smart Missiles. Oh, and look at that boss taking so many hits from my wall. Thankfully Demon Mode was up. So I presume this boss is going to proc Nuke, which means that I'll probably be dead very soon. And that's about the performance that I would expect as well, right? Like the previous playtesting, we also got something along the lines of 1,500-ish waves. And there we go. So 1550, let's have a look at the overall stats. So the projectile damage is at 49N, and obviously Chain Lightning is doing the most damage. So based on my farming runs, typically my projectile damage is larger than my smart missile damage, but probably because of the lack of enemies in this case, even though I have a lot of bounces, I'm not the bounce shots are just have no enemies to proc to. So it's pretty interesting to see. Projectile damage probably not very important, which now makes me think that probably death penalty might be better. And look at that, my swamp, my very baby swamp is doing more damage than my projectiles. But clearly the most amount of damage just comes from orb damage. So definitely having the crowd control, being able to stun the boss, hit the boss with the energy net, somewhere at your op line, especially since there's no op resistance, is going to be what's taking out most of the boss's health. Okay, so that is the first run. 1600. Maybe if my death penalty run is better, I might be able to get past this guy, but you know, there's no way I can beat him. It's a dream for another day. I don't think that I will beat this guy as well. Yeah, no way. Well, let's check the rankings later and move to the second run. Okay, now for the death penalty. Oh, let's sorry, I need to boost my labs first. So we boost our labs, and do I have enough for 6? No, maybe tomorrow I might have enough for a 6 times run. Okay. Oh, I got a relic. What is this relic? Cash bonus by 2%. I guess I'll claim this later just so that both tests have the same, everything else is kept the same for both tests. Especially since I'm running the project funding, cash is going to affect my damage, so I want to keep as little variance between the two runs as possible. So with death penalty, I've got mine at 1 star, which is better than my Astral Deliverance at 0 star. Overall, it should not make much of a difference because, as we saw, projectile damage is you know, it's not going to drastically make or break a particular run just by having 1 extra star in your module. Okay, so let's move on and we do a second run. So watch the video and let's go. So everything stays the same as before. We are back. It is just past wave 900. So far the performance is exactly the same as before. I still haven't taken any damage from the bosses. I was just thinking to myself that potentially for battle conditions like this negative mass projector would be pretty good as an armor module, and potentially it might be better than Anti-Cube Portal. And the idea is that if you have Chronofield Plus, I know most of you don't, but suppose you did have a high level of investment in your Chronofield Plus, the boss is going to be spinning around the tower a lot, and on top of that, with so many op hits, we are going to be reducing the speed of the boss even further, which potentially means that we could deal with a whole lot of bosses just simply by using orbs alone. And as you could see from the previous run, even though my damage became like what, 70 something trillion, the fact that the bosses just have so much HP damage becomes quite irrelevant. I think percentage health damage would probably shine a lot more. So stuff like, I think maybe Chain Lightning Plus, which deals percentage health damage if I'm not wrong, or even just Orbs boss hits would really shine in these kinds of battle conditions. And I think this just goes to highlight how important controls are for certain battle conditions. So actually I was just noticing, suppose we looked at this boss, my orbs do 16.7% of the boss's health as damage, which is okay, but I'm just curious if anyone knows why I am not doing 2% per boss orb hit. Is there some form of a resistance that bosses have in tournaments? Because at least for today's heat conditions, they are not there. There is no orb resistance. Oh, and speaking of, Berserker has just procced. So please let me know in the comments if you have any idea why is it that I should be doing a multiple of 2% for bosses' health per orb hit, but it seems like the orbs were not doing that. So we can see for another one over here, this guy is going to be hit by quite a few of the orbs, and for some reason I can't pull up the stats now. Let's catch this guy now. So there we go, it says 14.6%, but clearly I would have hit the boss more than 7 times with my orbs. So it's quite strange to me that this is happening. Okay, it's wave 1350, first energy shield has popped. It won't be long now. The question is whether or not I can survive another 200 waves. If I can survive for more than 200 waves, then death penalty is better. But look at that, this guy just took out like four of my shields, right? So he took out my shields plus second wind. Okay, demon mode has popped, so I get about 100-ish waves, so I don't have to worry about bosses now. Okay, nuke has just procced. It seems like I'm going to be doing worse with the death penalty build, so it seems like Astral Deliverance is going to be delivering me today. Let's check out the actual stats. So the main difference is that now my projectile damage has dropped by about 30n worth of damage. I wouldn't worry too much about these other damages over here. Oh, look at that, my smart missile damage is so low this time round. I wonder why there is so much variance. My guess is that when a death penalty procs, I basically just kill the boss, so the smart missiles don't have the opportunity to amp on a specific target in the case of a death penalty proc. And you can see that this reduces the smart missile and chain lightning damage significantly, which is interesting. So overall, all my ultimate weapons have been dealing a lot less damage. Death penalty ended up performing worse for me by about 30 waves, and I guess that means Astral Deliverance is much better. Overall, the rankings, well, it's unsurprising this guy is going to get like 2000-ish waves. Mephisto is probably going to overtake me at some point. Kikuyaku, probably I would do better, I hope. Tier 18 wave 400, wave 99. Oh, this guy needs to redo his tier 18. There's no way it's wave 99. If you can make it to 1000 waves here, I think you might be able to make it close to 1000 waves in tier 18. And potentially that allows you to unlock that battle condition reduction lab, which I heard is really good. I mean, it should be very good. It's reducing the effectiveness of battle conditions, which means that it's a flat out buff to our tower's performance. Looking at the overall bracket, I think it would be safe to say that I should rank let's not talk too early. I always say stuff like this and then something bad happens. So far nobody seems to be past like tier 18,000-ish waves. Okay, so most likely what's going to happen is Mephisto is going to overtake me and I would probably end up in rank 2. Well, Mephisto, if you are watching this, I hope you don't overtake me. So that way I can get that extra gems and extra stones. I think it's a 25 stone reduction and 100 gems, but I know you will. But if you don't overtake me, then this probably gives me enough keys to, by the end of the week, complete my vault to get this and this unlocked, and that way I can do a playtest video on what is the difference between respecking and not respecking for tournament performance. So to conclude, overall I think with Astral Deliverance, the consistency of the damage has clearly made my performance better than Death Penalty. So I think moving forward, my tournament build, I should probably use Astral Deliverance, which is great because what that means is that I can, I guess, invest some reroll shards and get all the nice stuff that I want in my Astral Deliverance, since I'm using it for farming as well as for tournaments. And interestingly, I was always under the impression that Death Penalty would outperform Astral Deliverance. It turns out that it's not the case for at least for today's tournament for me. So this is definitely very interesting, and I think that just goes to show that or it reaffirms my belief that having very consistent damage is going to outperform having inconsistent but very high damage. In the case of Death Penalty, where you just one shot nuke the boss down. So I think that concludes today's set of playtesting. Hopefully you guys found this interesting, and otherwise I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.